Well, howdy there, friends. How's everybody doing again? Thanks for coming along and clicking on the video and listening to what I have to say. I should start off with thank you to my subscribers, which I can't say enough. The fact that, anyone who's speaking in front of an auditorium or speaking in front of a class, or playing in a band, as I've done before, in front of an empty auditorium, you'll still play your music and you still have something to say, but the fact that people listen is what inspires me to keep making these videos. And I'd just like to touch on the fact that I started this channel when I was in my, early mid to mid 30s, and I'm in my mid 40s now. It's been 10 full years. Now, we don't even really become conscious until we're like 20. I mean, at least in retrospect, as you get older, you start to realize this, that not until you're in your 20s do you really even start to figure out where you want to go or what you want out of life or what life is. And I thought I knew when I was younger, of course. But, that means that I only had 10 years of growth before I started my YouTube channel. And then there's been basically double that since I started it. And in that time, I've changed a lot of my ideas. I've changed a lot of my opinions. I've had new viewpoints on things. One thing that's remained consistent is my desire to share things that I've found beneficial in my life with other people. And this means sometimes that, it'll sound like maybe I'm talking out my ass. A lot of things that I'd said 10 years ago, I might not still stand by. Many of the more spiritual, floaty rainbow things. But it's only because I'm a realist at the same time. And I believe in seeing life for what life is, right? What we can see. So I wanted to talk about a few. And I guess one of the things, I try to put things into a format where I'm not looking for the most complicated language to convey my thoughts. I'm looking for the simplest language that people can say, that makes sense, or at least listen to without drifting off and going, oh God, this is just too much. I wanted to talk about 4 of the falsities of life, or the 4, I guess I try to put them in the P's, the 4 P's, that there's plenty more, but pranks, products, promises, and premise. And it's just something I came up with off the top of my head to try to explain some of the things that keep us distracted in life and some of the things that we fall for, but how that's just a natural part of being a human to some extent. So, for example, when I talk about pranks, I say believing in pranks. When I kind of use the example of prank videos. At one time, there were real prank videos on the internet. And once they were all compiled and everybody had seen every single one 1,000 times, people started faking pranks. Once it gets to this point, it's just become ridiculous. It's just like faking reaction videos or anything else. But the reason why people like watching things like that, and it's not just prank videos, I'm talking about reality television or going to plays in ancient Greece. It's about the excitement and humor and emotion that it conveys. It's entertainment, and entertainment is exciting to us. And it's just part of our human nature. It's just like going to an art performance or music. So pranks are basically all of our entertainment. Products is the next one. Products are obvious. We're constantly told to buy things. It's like the distraction/dopamine rush people get from buying something that they're told will make them slimmer, make them look better, it's all about beauty and sex and muscles, and it's convincing people that they're not good enough as is, and that you need to do this in order to feel this way, so you'll be like these people. That is one of the false promises as well. That one's a little different because both pranks and products, we consume them because we choose to. And just like with products, often we watch a play or a movie knowing that it's fake, but we do it because we want to. It's a willful suspension of disbelief, just like buying a product that placebo tells you will make you happier. And the last 2, promise and premise, I think these are the most important. Promise is everything that we're told. It fits into the previous two. It's being told that if you take A, you will feel B, or if you do this, you will be like this person. But it's also along the lines of promise falls in hope and faith. And this could be faith in religion or faith in ourselves or in others. And then there's also the hope, not just hope for a better future, but a hope that, of course, one day we'll get that house we want. And one day we'll be finally have enough financial, ability to achieve our dreams, or go on a hike that we wanted, or go to space, or build a car, whatever it might be that the individual wants to do. Having this promise in the future is part of what drives us. Because if we had nothing to look forward to, it's very hard to build an exciting case for life, right? But hope and faith, along with the promise of health. A lot of people are promising you great health. And I have a completely separate video to do about this, just talking about the bullshit healthcare industry and the false promises of, everything from keto diets to fasting to, the idea that you can just detoxify your body or through your feet. Things like this are complete nonsense. Not all three. I mean, fasting has benefits. That's my point, that there are benefits to some of these things, but they're never as they're stated. And everyone will sell you a course for $500 on how to sell the same course to someone else for $500. It's this giant pyramid scheme of selling you shit you don't need, okay? And we all fought for it, these false promises of a better life. And it reminds me of that quote, you can never cheat an honest man. They don't expect more than they deserve. So, you look at big flashy lights and 95% off everything. Of course, there's going to be something going on there. And the last one is premise. And this is the one more relating to how we just accept the previous three as the status quo, as the way things are. Our false premise of life that we have to do these things, that we have to think this way, that we have to be part of this. And to a certain degree, we do have to be part of our system that we're born into. Like people say, I didn't choose to have a social security number and be born to my parents or be in this country or that country. No, you didn't, but here you are, so you better make the best of it, right? A lot of times we just kind of give up. People just say, this is just the way things are, and this is how my life's going to be. And that's the false premise. And I have a hard time shaking that one sometimes. My wife and I dream of buying land. We're like, how do we get from A to B? Well, if you follow certain spiritual practices, they'll tell you to make a vision board and just don't worry about it. Just look at the house you want every day, and one day you'll have it. That might work for 1 out of 1,000 people, but for a majority of people, you've got to actually put the work in. And sure, there's subconscious work that needs to be done. I'm not saying that you can't focus on what you want, because that's been a huge thing in my life. A vision board for me is my journal. I can flip back through it. I can see the things I've written and say, wow, do I agree with that or don't? Sometimes I'll see something from 5 years ago and think, oh my God, that's the dumbest thing I've ever written. Other times I'll see something and say, holy shit, that's profound. Did I write that? That makes sense now more than it did when I wrote it. And, that's just going back over stories and art and ideas, like listening to music. You don't just listen to an album once and you're done with it, right? So with all things in life, we need to revisit ideas. Why is it that we can get stuck in our ways and our routines and say this is the way things are and never change, whereas certain aspects of our life, like you're not going to listen to the same song every single day over and over and over, but some people do. And I did when I was a kid. We all did. We had our favorite tunes. But hopefully you know what I'm getting at. That, this whole thing is a carnival. It's a circus. Being human is so complicated. And I don't know. I think it's fascinating that people can even get along the way we do. But when we're in a group of good people and we let down all the bullshit and all the falseness, put down the walls, when you're with a group of people that aren't trying to sell you anything or fool you into anything, that can be one of the most amazing experiences, and a lot of people have not had that. Especially, say, when you're sitting back and talking about what God is, and you've taken psychedelics with a group of people, and it's way into the wee hours of the morning, and everybody kind of looks over, and you get this glance where somebody laughs, and you say, "Yeah, I know what you mean." I bring that in because when I said about the premise, we agree on that things are a certain way. We assume other people understand us. And in that state, sometimes you just assume the other person knows what you mean. And I'm just going to say, most of the time they don't. Just like most of the time that we assume people, family, friends, bosses, coworkers understand where we're coming from, they usually don't, and it's difficult. So we have to explain our position very carefully, I guess. So these are just some random thoughts on, I guess, some of the shit that we believe. People are going to continue to buy products. People will continue to watch stupid shows and movies. I mean, sometimes I sit back and watch a movie and think, why did I waste an hour and a half of my life on that? Well, quick distraction, a little bit of excitement, and but I don't accept any of the promises. It's one of the things I don't. I'm not religious, so I don't believe in a perfect world or a perfect afterlife or a utopia. But I also don't believe in a dystopia, okay? I believe it's all in here. So when it comes to what you consider to be good and bad, it really comes down to perspective, which leaves a lot open to interpretation, but it means that you can rescue yourself from even the worst situation by thinking positive about it. This is the same thing that POWs do when they're in prison for 10 years in a bamboo cage. You make the most of it. You make the best of it. You find a way to deal with it. And that's what life is. And it doesn't have to be that bad. But sometimes we imprison ourselves in those cages by expecting or wanting or demanding to be more than we are. And then people become entitled. So, talk to y'all later. Have a wonderful day. And take care of yourself and everyone else. Peace.